guys, it's Lord Bolter here with another video, and critics, both in the mainstream and the alternative, seem to dislike Gladiator 2 heavily. Many seem to be of the opinion that it is just a remake of the first film, with several of the elements in it done in not as great a way. However, despite any critics' feelings on the film, it seems to be doing well in some of its early showings. This comes to us from The Guardian. Gladiator 2 takes $87 million to break Ridley Scott's opening box office record. The long-awaited sequel performed strongly in UK and France, although behind February blockbuster Dune Part 2. Gladiator 2 isn't entertaining audiences in the US, Canada, and China until this Friday, but scores the highest ever international opening for a Ridley Scott film over the weekend, taking $87 million. The film opened in 63 territories late last week, including the UK, where it took $11 million. It also performed particularly strong in France, where it took in just over $10 million. However, this opening is a touch weaker than that for February blockbuster sequel Dune Part 2, which took $97 million internationally over its first weekend. I did look up the actual take internationally for Dune Part 2 overall. It was $432 million, so I think this is going to be looking at the $350 to $400 million mark in terms of its international taking. That's if it stays pretty strong and holds on to projections and all that. There isn't a massive downtake for some reason. It has, horrible word of mouth or something like that. And despite what the critics are saying about it, despite its historical flaws, I do think this movie is going to do well, particularly in the international scene, because A, there isn't a lot of action blockbusters coming out right now, and that's just overall. I mean, you have Red 1 that just came out, that's a quote-unquote action movie, right? But it's doing absolutely terrible at the box office. And the other film that's coming out along with Gladiator in theaters in the US is Wicked, and they've tried to generate this whole sort of Barbenheimer hype meme thing again for it, but it's just not working this time. And to be honest, I don't think there's a lot of crossover with the audience. Wicked appeals to two demographics, women and gay men. They're gonna come out in full force for Wicked in the United States. However, I don't think Wicked is actually that popular outside of the United States, so I don't think it's gonna have a lot of international viewership. Maybe in places like the UK, where theater is also really popular, but that's about it. It might have a fairly decent showing in China too, just because it has magical elements and, to be honest, they hide the black person in the film. So the Chinese government will be okay, I guess, with people being able to see it. However, I do know that Gladiator 2 is probably going to do real well in China, because the Chinese love their action films. I don't think they'll even care that this is a sequel to like a 20-plus-year-old film. They'll probably go and see it just for the action film's sake. As for international elsewhere, again, there's nothing really competing with it, so I think this is going to continue to have strong numbers. That's, again, if the film isn't absolutely terrible and gets just hammered in the word of mouth. Because the critics, both mainstream and alternative, they can say whatever they want about films. What people really, really listen to right now is word of mouth from their friends, social media, all of that. And if that's not horrible for Gladiator 2, I think that this film will probably do well internationally. Now, does that mean that the film will be profitable? I don't know. I don't know what the budget is for Gladiator 2. I assume that it's high. And remember that international box offices keep a lot more of the money than domestically here in the United States. So will this film be profitable is a whole different question. But there are signs of life for Gladiator 2 that it won't be a massive flop or anything like that. Again, I think this is going to be in the sort of Napoleon category of late in life Ridley Scott films, where it's a sort of minor hit, breaks even style movie that quite honestly isn't very good, but audiences are starving for something that's, good and action-based and historical that isn't, a massive franchise or something to do with superheroes. And I think they are getting that with Gladiator 2. But those are just my thoughts on all this. If you have your own thoughts, go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you like this video, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, I appreciate you watching all of it. We'll talk to you again later.